Bear Hug, written and illustrated by Catherine McEwen. Read with permission from Templar Publishing. Deep in a wood, under snow-thick skies, in a cave amongst the whispering trees, a young bear awakes. Sniffing the wintry air, he knows he must get ready for the cold nights ahead. So, just like Papa showed him, he gathers leaves and bundles of bracken to make a warm winter bed. And, just like Mama showed him, he dives into the shivery river to catch fat, silvery fish. Then, one day, a friendly face appears across the water. Another bear, young like him. Amongst the frosty moss and riverside rocks, the two hungry bears gather together to share their catch. As the days get colder, they fill their bellies with juicy berries, feasting until they're full. When the icy skies darken and the snowflakes twirl and tumble, the two bears lollopy lumber back to the cave. And there, against the shudder-cold night, on a soft bracken bed, the bears stay snug in a big bear hug. All winter long, the bears soundly sleep. The woods rest, too, under a deep, downy blanket of snow. Then, early one morning, the bears are awakened by a bold and beautiful sound. They sniff the air. It is warm and fresh, and the woodland is brimming with birdsong. Blinking in the sunshine, they know at last spring has arrived. And before long, there is another arrival, soft as thistledown and lively as a sunbeam, their little bear cub. As the days grow longer and the nights get shorter, life fills the forest. Bees buzz busily in honey-filled hives. Fat silvery fish swim in the river. And when the nights grow longer and the days get shorter, the cub gathers leaves, just like Papa shows him. And when the air gets colder and frost nips at his nose, the cub catches fish in the shivery river, just like Mama shows him. And as they did, he learns everything he needs to one day adventure on his own. But now, as the snows come and the icy winds return, it is time to settle down for the long winter sleep. Cozy in the cave, safe until the spring, they slumber, a little bear family, warm and snug in a big bear hug.
Today, let's talk about the art element called texture. Texture is when you feel or see something that changes the way something looks. So if I go outside and run my hand down the side of a tree trunk, it'll feel rough. It might even feel wet. If I pick up this wool scarf and put it around my neck, maybe it will feel scratchy and rough as well. But when I look at this plant, the leaves are very smooth and shiny. The planter, however, has these ridges and these bumps that make it feel a little bit rough to my fingers. I can see those and I can feel them. I'm using my senses to show texture. And then the bottom of it feels very smooth. Today we're going to do an art project where we show texture. We're going to talk about how to do that by making what I call texture bears. We'll make his fur with these marks. We'll make his shiny black nose in a way that makes it look smooth and maybe shiny and wet. So what you'll need for this project is a white piece of paper, and I'm using one from the paint pad. You can use a Sharpie, a waterproof marker, or just a plain marker. So let's get started. Okay, so let's just remind ourselves that we're working with texture today. We want to show whether something is smooth or hard or soft or rough like a tree trunk or bumpy like the planter I showed you, or jagged, maybe a mountain range or a pile of gravel and rock. So we're going to draw with our paper in a vertical position, and we're going to start about 2 fingers down from the top with just a little dot. And then over on the other side, I'm going to put my fingers down on the other side and try to match that dot on the other side. So I'm going to start over here and I'm going to finish over here, and we're going to draw a great big U shape. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is an animal and animals' shapes are not perfect. We're going to go almost all the way down to the bottom, but not totally to the bottom. So let's put 3 fingers down for the bottom, and that's because we need to leave room for the ears. And I'll show you how this works. I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to come all the way down. You start on whichever side is best for you. I'm going to go right over that dot that I made at the bottom, and then I'm going to go right back up. So I've made this giant U shape, right? And now I'm going to flip my paper around, and there's the beginning of this bear's head. So we're not doing the whole body, we're just doing the head of the bear. And we're going to round that end and give it a bottom. And then at the top, over here on the side, I'll make a nice big round ear and another one on the other side. Just some curves to make those ears. And then I'm going to trace kind of right along the edges. I'm going to follow that same line with a line inside to show the inside of the ear. All right. And now we're going to add the snout. So the snout is going to be soft edges, starting with just a little line in the middle of this bear's face, come down, soft edges, not sharp, and around and up where you began, right there. Inside that snout, you're going to make a soft cornered triangle. And what I mean by that is, instead of a sharp triangle like you would normally make, you're going to make the same kind of triangle, about that size, only they aren't going to have sharp corners. So making that line and then curving down, and you want that one point to go down and then around like this. So let's try that right in the middle of the snout, or maybe just towards the top. So around and up and another little curve, just like that. Then you're going to want to come down with a line and a little curve. This is all part of his snout and mouth. Okay. Now we're going to go back up here, and we're going to put 2 eyes, one kind of below this ear, nice and round, or as round as you can. Mine's going to look a little bit like an oval. And then another one over here, kind of underneath this ear, using those other parts of the drawing as a guide. And then you're going to put another circle right inside. That's the bear's pupil. I'm going to put mine right over here. And then another circle just around the outside. I'm only going to go around the one side, like that. Okay? Okay, inside the nose, make a little shape like a disc, just like that. All right, we have begun the basic parts of this bear. And what we need to do next is we need to make some lines that we're going to use to show the texture. Now, I did this by adding some shapes inside the bear to show that sometimes the fur, or even your hair or my hair, goes in different directions. And so this is kind of fun. You're going to start with just a shape here, but then from that, we'll have them going this way. And then maybe there'll be one just above his eye. And you don't have to put your lines on this bear's face where I do. You can just put them anywhere you want. So maybe this one comes down and attaches to the snout. So essentially you're just making some straight lines all over this bear's face. They can be curved too, in order to create some places where you can show the texture of his fur. So let's do this. Kind of just making some big triangles, right? So just go ahead and fill your bear's face with these lines. You can do as many of them as you want. All right, I think I've got enough. Now I'm going to go back to the snout, and I'm going to show that there might be some kind of whiskery things around this bear's nose by doing just some dots. And that shows, I don't know, do bears have whiskers? That he has these little dots, and you can see already that makes him look more real, right? And then I'm going to color in with my marker his nose around that little disc, that little oval that I made, sideways oval, to show the shiny wet part of his nose. It doesn't need to be very big, but it makes a big statement in texture to show that this bear's nose is very smooth and very dark. So I'm just going to fill that in just like that. All right, I like that. And now I'm going to fill in his pupils the same way. And if you want to, you can leave another tiny little circle there to show that it's shiny. I'll do that over here too. You could do this project with a brown marker, since bears often have brown, or you could do it with a creamy color crayon to show maybe a polar bear. All right, okay, let's get some texture going. This is going to take the most time for the whole project, is just adding the texture, but let me get you started and then I'll fast forward in the video. Above his nose, I want to just start making some short, sharp lines coming down towards his nose. And I'm going to do the same thing on this little section below. And this shows that the fur is going that direction. And you can tell already that it looks like I'm giving some texture to this animal. You can do this on any animal drawing. You can add texture by just making these short lines. Now, up here, I want them to go maybe a different direction. So maybe they're going diagonally. And then maybe on the sides, they're going even a different direction. I don't know about you, but when I get up in the morning, my hair's a mess. It's going in all different directions. Go over here and do that same thing. And so you're going to change direction on different parts of your bear until you've got it all filled in, even inside the ears, to show that there might be fur inside those ears. Okay, Got a good start. And now I'm going to head down into another section and make these lines go an even different direction. Well, they're kind of going the same, but in each section, you want to make sure that your lines are going the same direction. These are still going vertical up and down, but what if I get over here, down here, and I just go horizontal or sideways? Makes a big difference, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to let you go ahead, take your time, there's no rush, and fill in all these little lines to show texture on your bear. Okay, I've got all those great texture lines in here. You can add as many of those as you want. You can make it, you can just keep adding them. The thicker, it'll make his fur look thicker. And the last step is to just take your marker and color, or your crayon, whatever you happen to be making this bear with, and just color in the edges of his ears. And that kind of gives them a pop. Maybe the outside of some bears' ears are actually without fur, and so they're going to look more shiny like the nose does. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and I'll give you just one more little idea of how to finish these great texture bears. I'm all finished with my texture bear. I like the way his eyes look so shiny. I like the way his nose looks so wet and smooth, and his fur is going every which way, even in his ears. So if you want to finish this and you've used a waterproof marker, you could actually watercolor over the top of this. If you didn't use a watercolor marker, you could use colored pencils or crayons or pastels, any other kinds of art supplies that you have. We would love to see your artwork. There's two ways that you can share your work with us. You can ask a grown-up to help you with an email or to find our Instagram post. Email is twoteachersartstories@gmail.com. Our Instagram is twoteachersartstories. We would love to see your art projects.